building through the bear market? Because I'm presenting, so which is why I'm checking.
Correct. Yeah, we are all able to see that.
Okay, awesome. So yes, like I mentioned, we are here to talk about Web3 gaming and building through the bear market. The second half of which is what we have our experience in while building CropBytes. So to tell you guys a little bit about ourselves, I'm Sheryl. I head marketing for CropBytes, and I've been in the marketing and advertising industry for about 11 years before I was in Web3. And Sandeep is a hardware engineer. He's been an entrepreneur for about 9 years, and he built CropBytes in 2018. So let's move on. Before we jump into Web3 gaming, wanted to give everybody an idea of what the gaming industry looks like overall. So the gaming industry is actually at 176 billion, and it's growing at 10% steadily, right? And within the space, if you look at the mobile gaming space, it's at 76.7 billion, just the mobile gaming space. And of course, now we have crypto gaming within this. Gaming overall is way bigger than music, film, and on-demand entertainment put together, right? And if you look at, so gaming is not just the primary business, right? You also have the secondary business within this. You have consoles, PCs, cards, streaming equipments, and more. All of this is also a part of the gaming industry. Now, this is a report that's been published by Navik but at Bitcraft. What they say, the gaming industry is actually way more than 176 billion. It's actually at 336 billion because of the primary and the secondary industries coming together, right? And yeah, so that's what it looks like. Now moving on to the Web3 gaming ecosystem. Sandeep, you want to add a few points here?
Yes. So we can see like we know like there are many genres of a game like simulation, arcade, battle royale, and everything. So how I'm seeing this Web3 is like a completely new genre. And what is difference between what this industry is bringing, what this Web3 is bringing to the game ecosystem, right? Like if you say any of a Web2 game, right, it is not paying to its users, but Web3 is paying its users. So that is why, right, it is having like a lot of hype and a lot of excitement from these users when this Web3 gaming has comes into the picture. And when it comes to like what it is adding into the another thing, what it is adding into the industry, I can say it as a trust. So nowadays, right, we can see like especially from what I just want to explain about like what is a fundamental difference and what it is bringing to industry. So if you see like nowadays controversial debates are going in these fantasy sports, like that fantasy sport owners can able to add a team in the last minute. But the same thing if you build it on this Web3 space, right? Everything on blockchain, so people can't able to manipulate these data from a backend. So a lot of this Web3 is bringing a lot of trust actually into this gaming ecosystem, and like so that is what it is actually. This industry is bringing trust as well as it is opening an option for users for potential earnings. So I just want to take you through these economics of how these economics in this Web3 game works. So just want to show some examples of like what CropBytes is doing in this Web3 space. So like when it comes to these CropBytes, right, it is simulating the economics of real world into a game actually. So that means like what and all will be happening in this real world, right? It is nothing but a simulation of real world economics. In real world, you can see like inflation and all those stuff, GDP, etc., all the stuff. So by taking those kind of terms, we are mixing all kind of economics into a game actually. So and here, right, how we are building is a sustainable economy. So we are building this game on the basis of sustainable economy. So here, what is mean by sustainable economy? That means like sustainable means this economy what we are creating in a game, right, should be long last for decades actually. So that is called like sustainable economy, and we can see like how Sri Lankan nation's economy has been collapsed down. So that is what the scenario. If the economics of it might be a game or nation, right? If the economics was not so strong and sustainable, so it can be collapsed. Like I can say like in real world, I can able to give an example of Sri Lankan economy. And when it comes to the games, right, I can say like there was like a famous game which has been grown with like a lot of hype last year. But right, few months back, right, the economy of that game became a bubble. So that means like it is not sustainable actually here. So here what CropBytes is doing, like we are building a sustainable economy which can be able to last for decades. So how we are building this economy? It's we are taking a basic protocol like what is inflation rates, what is deflation rates, and what are the things which will goes in this real life economy, right? The same with the same protocols, right? We are controlling these game. So and we want trying to make it sustainable for decades. So as I said, like we are building a sustainable economy, and we have learned a lot of things while building this. So we just want to share this as an open protocol, as an open as an open framework, so that right a lot of other games can able to use and will not do the same mistake what we have did in the initial stage. So that framework is called a Tokenomics. In future, right, many more other games are going to use this kind of open source framework.
Right. So moving on to the Web3 gaming audience, we've covered the Web3 gaming ecosystem. Now the major difference between a Web2 gaming audience and a Web3 gaming audience is that the gaming audience is not just players. In Web3 gaming, the audience is not just players, they are also investors and traders, right? So when you talk about investors, they are very much like the industrialists of the real world. They are the whales, the guys who invest in a bunch for CropBytes. When we started back in 2018, a lot of our early investors were also players. They were risk takers and they invested in a lot of assets in the game. And to date, they play the game as well as they are the business owners in the game. So essentially, crypto gamers are players, investors, and traders. Now, traders play a big role as well. They are the silent investors. They're always looking for what's happening in the game market, which assets are selling well, which assets are not doing well. And they are the major liquidity providers in the marketplace. So they are the ones who are going to be buying and selling assets frequently, hence providing the liquidity in the marketplace. So that's the Web3 gaming audience. Moving on to the demographic, right? Now, this is again an example from CropBytes, but it essentially covers the Web3 gaming audience, Web3 gaming demographic. And of course, it comprises mainly of Asia Pacific. So like you guys can see, Philippines, Indonesia, Thailand, India, Vietnam, these are the major contributors. Of course, Latin America, again, you have Brazil, then you have Russia, and Iran. These are all growing sectors. Now to talk about US has major regulatory and legality issues. So every crypto game treads very carefully in the whole US demographic. That's what the demographic looks like. Now to talk about Web2 games and Web3 games, essentially traditional games and what we call as crypto games, right? What are the major differences? And I think here is where you can actually do some more research on. We've gathered about 4 or 5 pointers for you guys. And you should go about reading a lot more to understand, even before you venture into Web3 gaming, whether you're building a game or whether you're exploring a game, it's important to understand the difference. To talk about the main differentiator, the business goal itself is a main differentiator. In Web2 games, the business goal is they essentially, it is a shop model, right? So the developers are selling some assets and you can buy from these shops. In Web3 games, it's an open marketplace. It encourages a marketplace trade between players. So that's the business model. In Web2 games, they are built by developers and the earnings are only for developers, right? But in Web3 games, it's built for players, traders, and investors, all three of them. Again, in Web2 games, you have novelty assets, you have collectibles that drive the demand and supply of assets, right? It's essentially a cosmetic factor, versus in Web3 games, it's the utility of the assets that drive the demand and supply of assets in the marketplace. So utility of assets means there's real value that these assets add to the ecosystem. And again, Web2 games are mainly centralized. The control, the ownership lies with the developers. In Web3 games, it's mainly a decentralized model, but there also is a hybrid model, which is Web 2.5 that you can start with. We will cover it a little later in this presentation for you to understand better. Moving on to NFTs and FTs. Like I think everybody about NFTs, but it's important to hear about FTs while we talk about NFTs. Sandeep, over to you.
Yes. So like many of you might know like what is NFT. It is like a non-fungible token. That means like if you take there will be like no asset of a similar type in a similar style. It might be there might be some color difference or some small difference will be there. So it is called like NFT. And when it comes to this FT, right, it is a fungible token, and the same, even though it might be on a game or anywhere, right, the same asset can be multiple. I mean, there will be like a multiple assets of a same type, which is called an FT. So like if you see that history of these NFTs, right, like we all know, like in 2017 December, it's all started with CryptoKitties. So when a CryptoKitty has been sold for $1 million, right, it has been sent waves throughout these all crypto space actually. So and later, right, it has been followed by like many games and everything. So and when you see the NFTs back in those days, right, it is just like a collectibles, and a few NFTs are can be like a collectible as well as a breedable. Apart from that, right, there is no use of a NFT at those times actually. So yeah, although like there are like a lot of NFTs which don't have a use case today also, but right, the market is, I mean, overall like the market and ecosystem is changing. Nowadays we can see like many of massive games are also coming. I mean, we can see like many of the big games are also launching its NFTs, and it's providing actual gameplay to their NFTs. So that is how the market has been changed over a period of a time. So when it comes to like types of NFTs, right? So it is all, you also might be familiar, like even a music, if it is a single copy has been produced, single copy of a similar file has produced, it can be called as NFT. And same with the image also. If you can image or a photographic image or drawing, everything can be an NFT. So those are all NFTs. And when it comes to like the future of NFTs and FTs, right, what I can say is like in every game, in every game, right, if you're taking in terms of games, because why I'm talking game side, right, so, and if, I mean, although right, music file or a photography, everything can be called as NFT or FT, but right, here majority of utility of these NFTs or FTs is there in the games actually. So game has been with this Web3 gaming has been becoming like a largest platform which can able to provide utility for these FTs and NFTs. When it comes to like utility NFTs, right, there are like you can see like two kind of NFTs actually. Even though in NFTs also you can see like two kind of NFTs. Then is like one NFT, as I said, like it can be just collectible, and some NFTs can be breedable, and some but right, its duty is to do just a collection, and it can be breedable, and the offspring which you breeded, right, can grow up, and again it can be breedable. Apart from that, right, there is no other use case actually. So and a few NFTs, right, even don't have that breedable option also. So but right, why this all the market is going with a hype actually. So where if you see like some other NFTs, right, which is having like actual use case. So actual use case, like if you keep that NFT in a game, right, it is actually providing something. So there are like few games which can able to provide a utility and creating actual value to your portfolio. I mean, at the end of the day, right, Web3 gaming is nothing but like it's not just for fun. It is like it's your investment. So few NFTs which is adding value to your portfolio of your or to your investment. I can say an example. This is as in this farming game called CropBytes, we have the NFT called Waterel. So what that NFT is doing is, right, if you hold that NFT in your account, right, there are like as it is a farming simulation game, I said like there are like many more wells, lakes, and extra wells which is producing a water. So if you along with the well, right, if you hold this NFT in your in your account, right, it will be this well which is will be producing extra water than actual how much it should produce. So there, right, the user will be getting like an extra value to his portfolio. That means like he's getting some extra money by holding that NFT in his account. So in this way, right, a few games are actually creating not just those are not remains just as a collectible, but actually creating a value and impacting a user portfolio or investments. So like so now I will be telling about like a role of FT. As I said, like in order to become a successful game in a Web3, right? The FT is also playing an important role. So because right, we can see like many games having a liquidity issue. So what is a liquidity issue means, like I can give you a simple example. So for example, right, if the asset is a NFT, for example, if you take like a gun, if you take a gun of a different colors, so as there is a color difference, right, it is not a similar kind, so it is a completely different asset. So if I want have a 10 different gun NFTs, right, if I want to sell that, I need to place like 10 different orders, and you need to wait for like you write 10 different buyers or a single user who can able to buy your asset 10 different times. So because of this, right, and there are for the buyer at the same time, right, when you think from buyer also, he is also having like a lot of options. Even though the gun is doing the same function, right, still he is having a lot of options in the form of like this gun is having like better recoil, or this gun color, or this gun color skin looks better. So you buyer is having like many more options. Because of that, right, there is like a liquidity shortage in these NFT games, which we have seen in these recent times. So so what we can, so if instead of like if you don't give that option and if you maintain it as like FT, right, or so it can be easily tradable, or at least, right, just the game developers, right, need to limit these NFTs. At same time, if you say this gun as an NFT, and the bullet what is using inside the gun can be an FT, because right, even though there are like two different gun NFTs, but the bullet which is going to be used on the gun can be the same thing. So if you see that bullet, if you see that bullet, right, it can be like highly liquidate, because right, there is no difference on that. So if you pick any bullet, it is the same thing. So we can able to list this bullet on a regular exchange trading style, order book trading style. So we can able to get like more and more liquidity. So similarly, if you take an example of a CropBytes, right, here water, power, or feed, or crops, everything or FTs. So it can be listed in a similar regular exchange style, order book style exchange, so that we can able to bring more liquidity to these assets. So it is making this user trading experience easy. So I just want to talk about a bit about the tokenomics, like because right, as I said, like how FTs or NFTs both are important to become a successful project, right? Tokenomics is also a very important thing which is going to play a huge role in order to be a project to be successful. So when it comes to a tokenomics, right, there are like different kinds of tokens, like inflationary token, deflationary token, government's token, security token, everything. There are like many terms which even not listed in this current slide. So I just want to show like I just want to explain like two major differences. What is a deflationary token? So deflationary token, if you check like Bitcoin, right, you can say it as a deflated token. That is because, right, and every halving the Bitcoin supply is going to cut down to a half actually. So that means like the amount of Bitcoins which is coming into the market after every halving, right, it is going to reduce. So if I'm getting like 10 Bitcoins on at this moment, right, after halving I will be getting only a 5 Bitcoins with the same with respect of the same time. So gradually, right, this token supply which is coming, the mintable token supply which is coming into the market will be gradually decreasing. This is called a deflationary protocol. Similarly, right, we can see like a few tokens which can be inflationary. That means like over the period of a time, right, the amount of tokens which is coming into the market can be more and more. But at the same time, right, it will be much more difficult to get mine that tokens. So I can say like, I mean, you can say like Ethereum is also some kind of indirectly it is inflationary token, because it is don't have any supply cap. So similarly, like if you take a governance token is used for to allow your community to do the votes. So if you are building some game or any other crypto application, and you want to open a community poll, like which option is best, like either option A or B, and the people who holds your token can able to put down a votes there. So as many as tokens I hold, I can able to put vote there. So I can, your users or community can potentially impact the decisions what you are taking, and you I mean they can able to vote and they can able to guide you like which is a better thing. So those tokens are called a governance token. And finally, right, it's not required it's not required for every protocol to be implemented in your project. It's at the end of a day, right, it's what are the protocols which you need to use in your projects will be defined based on like what kind of a project, what kind of a game or what kind of a project you are building, and what it is required, and what is it flow, and what genre it falls under. Based on that, right, you just need to pick like what and all what your project needs, right? Only those things, right, you need to pick, and it's not important to pick everything. So that is what a bit about tokenomics, and you can able to. It's a bit interesting topic actually. Like the people who want to learn more about the tokenomics, right, can able to research more on these tokenomics tools on gaming especially.
Nice. So moving to, Web3, or even before we actually move to Web3, understanding that, all the slides that we've covered so far, if you expose this to a Web2 gaming audience, like the Web2 gamers, the Web2 TG, they are going to be baffled, right? So how do we, make them more open to trying out a Web3 game, right? So as builders, it's very important that the onboarding to a Web3 game is very, very smooth, is very, very easy. The learning curve should not be too much, right? So this is where Web 2.5 and what we call as the hybrid model comes in. So what we focus on here is we actually make the onboarding a lot more easier. The game is not completely on chain. It could be a little centralized. Some of the assets could be on chain. It's a lot easier for players to try out the game. It's a lot easier for players to sign up, experience the game, and then when they are ready, they begin, investing in the game and playing the game. So these are certain values of Web 2.5. Of course, being a Web3 project, at your core, your values should say that towards the end, this game has to be completely on Web3. This has to be completely on chain. And that's what we as CropBytes are also working towards. To explain this concept a little more, I would actually like to take you through CropBytes' 4 years journey. So we actually launched CropBytes in 2018, April. When we launched, we too had an NFT model. And one of the important points to cover while we launched is also that, at that point of time, there were not many games with a gameplay. Right? Even today, we don't have many Web3 games with a good gameplay. And even back then, it was CryptoKitties, but there was not essentially a gameplay. So when we launched the game, we wanted to expose the crypto gaming audience to a gameplay, to give them a game that had a gameplay plus earning. So when we launched, we did an NFT sale and it was highly successful. Within 6 months, we launched our game. And after building the game, we realized that, our players were super happy playing the game, and we were a bootstrap company. But then came the bear market, right? And when the bear market came is when we realized that NFTs don't really contribute to the economy too much in the bear market. The reasons being, like Sandeep mentioned, the liquidity problem that there is, the fact that these NFTs are collectibles and people are not really selling them. The marketplace was not that active in the game. The whole economy of the game was not that sustainable. So we made a conscious decision in 2019 to move from an NFT only game to a sustainable game with a sustainable economics. We had a mix of FTs and NFTs in the game because CropBytes was it's a virtual economy built on real world economics. Just like in the real world, you have a mix of FTs and NFTs, and you have more FTs and lesser NFTs because NFTs are essentially collectibles. They are the unique items, like say paintings and things like that. We took the similar model and applied it to CropBytes, and since then there's been no looking back for us. Since the move to sustainable economics, it's been 4.5 years now that we are building the game and running the game, and we have a big community of global audience. It's worked really well for us. And we in 2019 we actually also changed our focus to not just players, to traders and investors. And over the entire bear market, our focus was very clear. We were building a solid product for the coming bull, right? And then came the pandemic, like we all know. During the pandemic, of course, building a game and keeping up to our community and retaining the audience is the most important challenge. During the pandemic, CropBytes actually became a source of income for a lot of players because we focused on sustainable economics, because we focused on our community. This is the outcome, that even for players, they can depend on you as developers, right? CropBytes has grown today over multiple market cycles. We started in 2018. We've seen the bull, we've seen the last bear, we've seen the current bull, and we are extremely excited for the coming bear, because we know exactly what as a formula it is that you need to do for the coming bear. You need to focus on building the product and your community. That's the approach. You will see a lot of Web3 games today who, even before the product actually launches, even before the game actually launches, they go about listing their token and doing an IO and creating market hype. What happens is, you can probably, in the bull market, that strategy works, but in the bear, you have to have your solid product and you have to have your solid audience. That's not the way to go about. So yeah, essentially this has been our journey. After 4 years of building the game, the value, the price of the FTs and NFTs in our game have grown over 100%. We went about listing CBX, the currency of the CropBytes metaverse, in 2021 November, which was 4 years after building the game and after building our community. And that is what we vouch for. So what are our learnings from building the game in the last bear and over the last 4 years? These are, our lessons. Number one, economic optimizations. It is very important as a crypto game that you keep optimizing the economy of the game from time to time. And I'm saying this more because you usually, as a developer, come up with a roadmap and you try to stick to it. But what's more important is that you adapt to what is important for the community and adapt your economy for the community. So again, my second point here is community first. Build a game or any project, actually that holds true for any project in Web3 today. Build it for your community. Have the focus on product. You need to have a product. You can't be all hype and all marketing. In fact, your product should do your marketing for you. Funding IO can happen after you've built your product and after you have a solid community, which is organic. Now that word organic also needs to be remembered. Again, the balance of FTs and NFTs in your game, because like for all the reasons that we said earlier, liquidity, hype, for all of these reasons, it's important that you have a good mix of FTs and NFTs in the game. And building an organic community. User acquisition needs to be built into your product, and you need to provide real value for your audience. Yes, so these are essentially our lessons from building in the bear market.
So one more thing here I want to add, like if anybody want to in future they want to build some Web3 game, right? So there is like one fundamental, right? You should not be leveraging much on your token. Your product should generate the revenue. You should be building a product in such a way. So in order to be successful, right? Key fundamental, your product should generate the revenue, not your token.
Absolutely. Right. And also, like, I mean, even this pointer about building an organic community, because CropBytes had the focus of building an organic community, even in the bear market, our players stick to the product. They are playing the game on a daily basis. We don't see the complaints that you would see in, say, some guilds where, players are already complaining about the games not generating enough revenue for them. Because our community is organic, we have not gone about doing a lot of bounties and, just bounties and rewards. Of course, those are important in order to encourage and motivate your audience, but if you only go about doing that, you only attract bounty hunters who only stick around with the game for a couple of months and then they drop off, move on to something else, because they're essentially hunters, right? So building an organic community, cannot emphasize enough on why that is important. Even if it is slow, if it is product focused, I think they will stick around with you over the long run, and through the bear market it will be very easy. Yes, so moving on to the future of Web3 gaming.
So like when it comes to the future of Web3 gaming, right? Just before jumping into that, I just want to give a very small example. So many of you aware of like what is that a .com crash? So which is happened in early 2000s, like when most of the investors, right, fall behind companies which is having a .com at the end. So with the hype, so I can able to relate that .com crash to this current scenario, like a bull and bear markets of 2022 or 2021 and 22. So like what is happened there, right? We can see like a lot of people jumping into the hype without, even though in .com crash also, irrespective of like seeing the product capabilities and project capabilities, right? If there was a .com, people poured money into the project like anything. The same thing is happened here, irrespective of like what is that project and how it is going to create a value, right? If they are having a, they are launching a token, right? People poured money into that. And same time, right? The dot-com crash hasn't happened, and in this crypto cycle also, right? The bear case comes actually. But what happens after the dot-com crash, right? There are a few companies like IBM, Google, Dell. So these companies can able to sustain because right, they are building actual products. Similarly, like in this crypto world also, I can say like there are a few genuine companies which is actually building project and they are not here to bluff actually. So those kind of projects, right? Irrespective of bull and bear markets, right? Will aim to grow their base. So so that is what it's going to be like. That is what I mean. I'm expecting like right, and I'm bullish like that is what the same thing is going to happen in this bull. Sorry, in this bear market. And when it comes to these, why these Web3? I mean, what is special in this Web3 game, and what kind of value it is going to add in future, right? So I can say like interoperability, like you can say like in the regular Web2 games, you can't able to go from one game to another game. So, but right, these Web3 gaming has bringing that possibility into reality. Like one game asset can be used in other game, and these games can able to have like a good partnership in order to create like a good and much more better value. So that is the one thing. And second thing is like, of course, like I mean, first thing is like, of course, like I'm talking about sustainable economics. Your economics need to be sustainable. That is a very fundamental thing. So if it is not sustainable, right, at one point of a time it will become a bubble. So when it become a bubble, you can see like what is happened with the Axie Infinity also and how this bubble has been broken. So game developers need to be very keen on building a sustainable economics and figure out like what is a sustainable formula for their genre of a game. And one more thing, like building in the metaverse. Now you can able to see like many big companies like Meta, Google, or Apple are jumping into the metaverse. So what they're creating a metaverse to as like as a part of their social life or to create some fun. But imagine this Web3 gaming is having genuine potential to build like a metaverse plus value for your time which you spend on metaverse, which will be a very huge actually. If so, you're not just getting the fun, but so how is it possible? I can say like nowadays, right? If you can able to provide a work in metaverse, that means like if you, what and all actions which you do in metaverse will pay you. If we can able to succeed in creating like a work in metaverse, right, it is going to be very huge actually. So imagine like a many more users can able to know. It's no wonder in future if people adopting like how you work on some office or some how you work on some workspace, right? It is no wonder if some people says like I'm working in metaverse. So we are heading towards that direction. So I can say like a future of Web3 gaming is I can say it is a very colorful, and I can say like it is very exciting actually in the upcoming future. So similarly, I just want to give an example for work in metaverse in CropBytes. So in CropBytes, right, we have a model like where like if a farm owner, I mean in CropBytes, right, each and every day, right, there is some action need to be done. There is action need to be performed for the assets which you hold in the ecosystem. Imagine like if now if you are enabling work in metaverse, right? If a farm owner is busy or particular day or he can't able to do a particular kind of action, instead of doing it by himself, he can able to hire somebody who can able to get that work done for him. And for that, right, he can able to pay something on token or some in a USDT. So we just want to build like a sustainable, how we can how we are saying that sustainable game, right? If you can able to build sustainable work in metaverse, it's going to be very huge actually, very huge. Sustainable work means like again same thing, right? It should not be easy to lose your job. It should not be easy to say like there is no work for you. So even though like a bunch of crowd, I mean even though like ocean of users came also, like there should be a work for everyone. So we should be aim for to building this that kind of work in the metaverse in order to be successful.
Right.
Yes.
So I guess we've covered, the future of Web3 gaming. Now coming to careers, I mean, we are all, one thing for sure in Web3 is that you're learning every day. and a few months or a few years of experience in Web3 is equivalent to, like, so say 2 years in Web3 is equivalent to 10 years in Web2, because the learning is every day. Even as a marketer, even as any role that you take up, you have to constantly innovate and come up with new ways of doing. Existing strategies have to be reworked, redone, right? So, I mean, to talk about the different career opportunities in Web3 gaming, of course, developers, back end, front end, blockchain developers, you have designers in marketing, communication design, you have brand design, you have product design, right? You have all the other UI, UX, and all of those other design categories. As marketers, I mean, I think this is a very, very important role, because the Web3 gaming audience is so niche. And then you have the entire Web2 gaming audience that is still yet to onboard into Web3. So what marketing strategies, and as marketers in Web2, when you enter Web3, you're completely baffled, because the channels are completely new. For example, if just to give an example, Twitter is probably considered the place where you get like an evolved audience for Web2 gaming, but Web3 gaming is completely on Facebook, right? And on all the other smaller channels. So similarly, so much more learning in the Web3 gaming space is happening today. Community builders, the most important of the hires in a Web3 gaming project happens in community, because like we mentioned earlier, you're always building for the community, and you're building a solid product for the community. So community builders, and keeping so folks who know the pulse of the community, especially regional communities. Now, when you talk about the Web3 gaming community, it's not just they're global, but they're also regional, and the behavior is different. To give an example, West is always rich in money, versus the East is rich in time. So the behavior is so different. Somebody who's experienced these communities, who can engage with this community really well and keep them engaged in your game, right? So community builders again. And then gamers who can try out your game, who have tried out multiple games, who understand the requirements of Web3 gaming, and what the future will be like. You have these career options. At CropBytes, of course, we are looking at all of these roles to be filled in as well on a regular basis. But these are essentially what the different categories of career opportunities are available in Web3 gaming. Yep. So we essentially just wanted to cover a very small chunk of what we could speak about. So we try to keep it very crisp and very tight. But if you guys have any questions, we're happy to take it now. I think we have a Q&A, but even otherwise, we're available on Twitter. And I think I did see an interesting tweet by GrowthSchool on Twitter. So if you have any questions, you can actually just reply back on it, and we'll be available for any any queries, anything that you guys want answered. When it comes to what it is that you can what it is that you can learn more about, I think definitely understanding the Web2 gaming audience and the Web3 gaming audience, and just understanding generally the difference between Web2 and Web3 gaming, understanding the different token mechanics which were mentioned on the slide about tokenomics, and always doing a research on every project basis the tokenomics, understanding the tokenomics really well, even before you invest in a token, or even before you try out a game, or explore any other Web3 project. Understanding the tokenomics really well, I think these are really good takeaways from the presentation today. And I hope we've been able to give you enough points about building our experience of building through the bear, and even I think experiencing Web3 gaming through the bear market. So I guess, yeah, that's about it. This is what we had for today. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Sheryl and Sandeep. I guess this was a very brief introduction to how exactly gaming ecosystem works, and it's connected to NFTs. A lot of discussions have been going around in the community as well on the similar front. So thank you so much for that. I'll curate the questions for you. There are a few in the chat. Very first question that comes from is that some Web3 games often requires an NFT, which allows a player to take part in a game. However, that NFT tends to be sometimes too expensive, or that requires some fees to, get into the game. And isn't it, deflecting the purpose of getting into P2E or gaming ecosystem in the, crypto space?
Sorry, I mean, I did not get like last point. What you're saying?
Okay, so while we are talking about people moving into Web3 space, correct? Now there are a lot of P2E games which requires a user to buy the NFT in terms of getting into game.
Yes.
Isn't that deflecting a purpose in some sense when a lot of new people are coming into this world?
So absolutely, there is a friction, right? Because right, not everybody, not everyone can be an investor actually. So
Hmm.
like, what nowadays like most of the P2U, I mean, smart P2 play to earn games are doing. So for every flow, right, they are having like two options. One is like higher flow, which as I mean, where the asset can be an expensive thing, and other thing is like the same work what it is what the asset A is doing, right, they are creating an asset B which is in affordable price, but that it will be doing in limited in action, but the work what it is doing is the same thing. So so right, who can't able to afford for these high expensive asset, right, can be able to continue the game with a low expensive. And there are like believe me, like there are many more people who don't want to invest anything, can able want to try for free. For those kind of users, right, few games are opening an option called like they are giving like a many more easy giveaways. And we can see the, if you see the record, right, the games which are giving like more giveaways for free, right, has never been sustained, and most of the games are already closed their operation. So it's not viable for games to give many more elements for free also. So I can say like when I say like the working metaverse concept comes, right, that means like without any assets, I mean the work is like you should not be. I mean it's not required for you to own anything. You can able to come for free, and you can able to work for person, and you can able to earn for earn that money from him. So here, right, here what you are investing is just a time, not any money. So when it comes to like working metaverse, it is going to be huge, and many more people who don't want to invest money, right, can able to jump into this space.
Got it. Got it. Okay. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense now. Next question comes by Vardhan Rawat. Is it required for one to already know how Web2 games work to start learning Web3?
Absolutely, because right, there is like a bit of learning curve is also involved actually. Like most of the decentralized, you should be knowing like how to manage your wallet. And second thing is like you should be knowing like a fundamental difference. I mean, what is game fundamentals and how you're going to earn in particular play to earn game. So because right, each and in Web3 there are like many different kinds of genres are there. Just they need to go through this white paper. More than like knowing this difference between play to web 2 to web 3, right, they should be learning about like fundamental concepts of that that particular web 3 game. So they need to be very careful, like whether these people actually build a game or they just want to cash out the hype and all those stuff, right. So by reading their white paper thoroughly, people can able to understand. So based on that dynamics or based on the tokenomics, right, one should be easily, and I mean if you go in depth, if you go there any games white paper and tokenomics, right, one should be easily understood that whether actually is it worth to investing or playing this game or not. Based on that, right, people can able to take a call.
But
Got it.
there's also an observation here where if you actually see, even for CropBytes, actually, a lot of our players are first time players as well as first time Web3 players. So as a project, right, as a builder of a Web3 game, it's also important when you're a builder that you should definitely know the difference between Web2 and Web3 gaming, and how to, the difference of building the two, building the games, because that will help you make it easier for anybody who's onboarding, right? And yeah, so like I said, like there's also an audience that comes in trying out gaming itself for the first time when they explore Web3 games. But of course, I'm sure that they do their research and they understand at least the difference between Web2 and Web3 games.
Got it. Okay. Uh, okay. Next question is that what is what is what is a tech stack to develop a Web3 game? What are the different additional tools apart from definitely Solidity that we know? What are the different tools that we use? How is it different from Web2, or is it similar?
So, so I mean, most main thing is like the gaming tool or art design tool will be the same. There is no different. There is no difference. It can be like a Unity or Real Engine, and when it comes to the design tool, right, it can be like a regular traditional tools, because there is no difference there. But when it comes to like building, I mean, the code difference, I can say like it's on a blockchain coding actually. So you need to code for a virtual machine. So that is what the main fundamental difference. And when it comes to these different networks using like a different virtual machines, you need to see like you need to study like what is those syntaxes or So, and I mean, but what is the beauty of this, right? If you can able to code for one virtual machine, imagine like if you learn some how to code blockchain coding or virtual machine of Ethereum, the same most I mean majority of a thing, right? It will be same applicable for other chains also. There will be like a few minor differences.
Got it. Okay. Makes sense. So, one more thing that comes here is that, because there are a lot of Web3 games coming into the market, and a lot of them operate in a very similar domain. So, have you faced any problem, or have you saw any examples like where people are playing in one game, they are gathering their currency from one game and moving to another platform, so taking from one and moving to other? Have you seen these kind of trends?
So that means like profit shared in one game, they will be reinvesting. So that is a typical scenario what we used to see in bull markets.
Oh yeah.
And we seen like many people like burn their profits. So for example, if some X game is working for them, right, they will be earning like good profits there, and when they deploying that into other games, right, they already obviously there might be a few folks who is doubling their profits, and few folks who is burning the total fund including a capital. So it's often occurs in this bull market, but it will be I mean, I don't see this kind of scenario in last bear, but I can able to see of this kind of scenario often in bull markets.
Okay, got it. But I mean, at the core, it will affect the existing platform where people are taking from. And okay.
Yeah, yeah, but right, if you are, and that's what at the end, right, everything will link into the sustainable. So if your game is sustainable, right, it's not required, and if your game is doing better, it's not required for that user to take that money and put into other game. So
Okay.
as our game, right, we don't see. I mean, of course, we have seen in 2018 bull markets, and after that, right, we never seen this kind of scenario actually. I mean, of
Okay.
course, it will be like, but it is very, very, very rare.
Okay, makes sense. Got it. Now let's talk about CropBytes. Just to have a brief introduction, how exactly was the thought? I mean, you shared your story for the 4-year
Yes.
journey that you mentioned, right?
Yes.
Uh, how are you looking to transition into future? Like how does next 2 years for CropBytes specifically look like? When you mentioned the collaboration of Web 2 world and Web 3 world, are you now also trying to include more of the NFTs, or what are you looking at when you think about it?
So, like, irrespective of, I mean, adding more NFTs is not a priority, and more NFT is also not priority. So, what and all we do, right? Thing is, I mean, you can able to add more NFTs also, but right at the end of the day, you need to, I mean, the flow and economy should not be bubble actually. So you can able to add more NFTs, but right when you add like more NFTs, you need to face like more challenges, and you need to tweak majority of your flows actually, because right handling NFTs and to become a sustainable, right, it's like a very tricky job, and I mean it's not so easy actually. So most of the things, right, as a game, right, I mean as a CropBytes, what we are focusing in next few years, right, so far, right, we are sustainable. We are proud to say like we are sustainable game, like and we can able to, we have already seen a bear, and we are excited to work in the bear market. So we have a plan for this bear market, and we have like of course like many more things to do in this bear, rather than doing the same in bull. And we just, when it comes to like core, we want to keep this become like a more sustainable, and we want to make this economy much more stronger. So we can say like when you see like if you see economy of USA, right, it is very strong, and it can be because of its economies, right, it has become the supreme than any nation, supreme to any nation. So we want to build, and it's not happened in a single day. So in order to build some good strong economy, right, so it will be taking a time. It always comes with a time factor. So irrespective of what is the, although right, we are in a comfortable position, we just want to make this economy stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger. And secondly thing, right, we just want to provide a work in metaverse, a sustainable work in metaverse.
Got it. Interesting.
So, I mean, for us, our model of growing has always been organic, right? And we see working in the metaverse as a very natural, organic way for people to start playing the game. And even in 2021, we saw a lot of Philippines and the Latin American audience walking into the game because of a very strong referral program that we built. And this time, we see working in metaverse to be a solid way for for players to start new players to start playing our game, and I think that's what we are focusing on. We are focusing on just growing organically again.
Got it. What are the most, the top channels that are working for you in terms of acquisition?
Sheryl, what do you want to take this?
Sorry, in terms of?
Yeah, in terms of
Sorry, I didn't
acquisition,
get the
what are
last.
the top channels that are working for you, or some strategies also, if you can
Yes.
share?
Yeah, so I mean, for us, what works is product first marketing. That's what we always focus on. And what has worked for us so far is basically our referral, and just we have a very strong community, like I said before, and we have an ambassador program within our community. Now, this ambassador program was also started to benefit players, where they kind of became contributors, and they could compete, and there was a factor of collaboration between players, and they actually did because they loved the game, they were talking about it anyway. We found a way to incentivize them while they were talking about the game, and sharing that knowledge with a lot of people. And one thing is for sure, while web3 gaming during the bull market runs on the whole hype of earning, right? You earn more in this game versus this game, but in the bear market it runs on, hey, these guys have built a solid community, or this is a trustable game, right? So we focused majorly on these two approaches. One is product first marketing, referrals, or any other way of onboarding more people through the players that we already have, and the second is this ambassador program. These are two ways we have grown over the last 4 years, and I think we are at 550K players today, and that's not a bad number at all. This is what we've been able to do organically. Of course, so one of the major strategies for us over the next 2 years at least is going to be now growing locally but globally, right? So reaching out to say a Philippines audience and seeing what works best for them. So I think earlier in this presentation also, while I was talking about the difference in mindset in the West and the East, you need different strategies while you reach out to these audiences. So that's another thing that we will be focusing on. So we are now going to go more local over the next couple of years while we grow our audience.
Got it. Now, when we talk about going more local, how are you able to still manage the general standard part of the game, because you have audience from all parts of the world right now? Philippines might need something else, India might need something else. How are you able to manage some standardization might be there? What are the things that we look at?
So, in fact, right from the start, what we've done is we have a lot of these local communities as well.
Okay.
And because we had this mindset right from the start of catering to each one of them, localization of, the app is one approach, right? That you have to take. Like, say, for example, Philippines is still very fluent in English, but you have a lot of other Southeast Asian audiences that are not fluent with English. So you need to cater to them. And, once you start having this audience, you automatically cater to them. And because we've been there for 4 years, we have been catering to them for the last 4 years, and we are reaching out to them with specific requirements that suit them. But I think when it comes to growing now, over the last 1 or 2 years, now we have so many events and so many, ways to reach out to them, not just, AMAs. Like I remember 2 years ago, doing an AMA in a community was a big deal, but now it's Twitter Spaces, now it's partnerships, right? So, like I said, there are new ways of reaching out every day, and we are figuring those out as well. But we are very confident, and we have a lot of partners today in a lot of these local communities, and we have our own players in these local communities who are very well promoting the game themselves. So we are again going to take that same approach of growing organically for us.
Again, like if you see like our Telegram groups, right? We have like 18 plus different local groups actually, and still that players request like to start their local community. I mean, if they like some Persia or something, right? People will request us to like start this Persian community or start some other different community which is not already available.
Got it. Now, I mean, I'm just curious, how big is your community team?
So community wise, it was near to like a 20K in Telegram, and we have like good active community in Discord. Sheryl, you want to take this?
Yeah, so basically, we were at a 30K on Telegram earlier when we were just Telegram, and then we have a lot of smaller communities across Facebook and different regional communities on Telegram as well. Recently, because we have this ambassador program, we have actually moved to Discord Discord just for the operations of this ambassador program. And so we have a split there. So Telegram is now at about 25K, and we have Discord, which is growing constantly at about, I think it's about 10K today, if I'm not wrong, 5 to 10K. And that's where we are when it comes to the active community, on our different channels.
So I can say like more than that count, right? The quality matters. Like the quality of that community matters there.
Got it. And being one of the community managers myself, handling the people that we have in the program as well. We have 9.5K odd people, and we on a daily basis we do something. We create some NFT projects. We build some MetaMask someday, because a lot of people are new here. And trying to understand what's Web3. Some people don't even know what's WHEMI that we use. We all are going to make it. Any specific initiatives in community, that are working for you, that maybe can benefit other people as well, or for other communities?
Yeah, I think it definitely crypto education should be the number one priority when you run a community in Web3. Because you can have a lot of people who end up coming there because they've heard from somewhere, or they came in because they read a hype word somewhere, right? But basis, you have something for them to learn and engage on. I think that's number one. So because CropBytes is a game, a lot of people land here to learn how to play the game, right? And we go about not just teaching them how to learn the game, but also some fundamentals. So like, just to throw an example here, we have people who play the game and have experienced trading on a crypto exchange first on CropBytes, because we have an in-game exchange. They learned how to use an exchange on CropBytes, right? And similarly, many other fundamentals, like FTs, NFTs, they learned a lot of these concepts while playing the game. So this has been our approach. This has been one of the reasons why our community is very active, because they come here not just to learn how to play the game, but they are also experiencing a lot of the fundamentals of Web3 while they're exploring the game. So I think crypto education is definitely one of the ways. So we've always tried to see how we can incentivize our audience, not just through tokens, not just through, like USDT airdrops and game asset airdrops, but also about how we can share knowledge with them. And that's one of the reasons they hang out, because they keep learning and they keep, learning from each other as well. So that's the overall sentiment in the community.
That's fantastic.
Here I would like to share an interesting fact actually. We have seen like a few Philippine parents, right, teaching their kids by showing CropBytes as an example, like how to manage their funds and how to manage their buys and sells.
That's interesting. So basically your platform is also not only for games now, these some what should I call it? Some quests that are in the game which are helping.
It's not. At the end of the day, it's like I can say like we are simulating a virtual economy. It's a virtual economy, and we are simulating economics of real world. So they are teaching like how to what should they buy at what time, what is the best time of to buy, and what is the best time to sell, and how to, if they have limited cash, how they manage to survive, and all these things. Right? We have seen like a few parents teaching to their kids.
Interesting. That's very interesting, and a lot of insights for me to take back also, to work with a lot of people that we have who are excited. Two last questions. We'll end the conversation with two last questions. One is, are you hiring at CropBytes? What are the qualities that you look at while hiring? Any such roles open?
Surely you can take.
Yes, we're definitely we're looking to hire at CropBytes. We were a very lean team so far, until the end of last year, and now we are growing a lot. In all aspects, of course, in development as well. In our development team, we are now looking to hire about, and I think we have about 5 more roles that we're looking to hire. Then we have the product team, because we are a existing product. We're running for the last 4 years. We are continuously improving. In fact, now this year we are focusing more on the gameplay. We're improving that. Actually, you should definitely, I guess all of you guys here should definitely try out CropBytes, because there's a perception about Web3 gaming that there's no gameplay, and you definitely have to try out CropBytes to know that it's not the case. but we are still focusing on improving the gameplay. So we are again looking to hire in the product team as well. Because the size of our community has grown so much, we've recently hired a new bunch of community folks in the team as well, but we are still looking to hire people who have had experience in just even experiencing Web3 communities, because that makes a lot of difference. The whole psyche is different. I think we're expecting a whole lot of fresh blood walking in, which has experienced Web3 either in communities, either as products, either just has knowledge and is curious to learn. We're kind of looking forward for these qualities when we're looking to hire. Market, I think in all areas, that we mentioned earlier, marketing, community, even when it comes to support, because the way you handle support in Web3 is way different from how you would handle it in a regular Web2 product. That's another place where we have had so much learning, and we have had so much experience in just how to improve, how to, like, you don't send emails, right? In a Web3 project, you probably are talking in the community. Now you need a bot, you need to handle that well. So we have a lot of learning in all of these areas, and we're looking to fill up and share that knowledge and have people kind of take ownership of these areas. So we're actually hiring in all of these verticals.
I think somebody is asking like how to apply. I think you can able to send an email of your resume for hr@cropbytes.com.
Hiring@cropbytes.com.
Yeah,
Yes.
both works actually, HR and hiring. Yeah.
Okay, and I think you'll also see these profiles on our website. So I think Abhishek here can also share the link to all our current openings on the chat. So if anybody's interested, you can have access.
Got it. So I'll just share what we do as a ritual daily in community. We have the so after every main sessions, like the one we have today, we jump on to discussions. We brainstorm around what we learned, what are the new things that we can do. And at somewhere around 11:30, we play the game for 30-40 minutes together, and then we end our call for the day. So I guess today we have something new, CropBytes, to look at. 30-45 people jumping onto the platform, exploring how it works basically. And if you can, if you can manage some time, Sheryl and Sandeep, if you can just drop into community, see what's going on. Maybe once in a while you can answer some questions or guide people. I think that would be fantastic for other people as well, because a lot of people I see have been trying to learn about gaming ecosystem in Web3. So I think that is my last question or request, as you may call it, for the day. Okay, we are at.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll be there. We'll hang out and we'll see how it goes.
Yes, and as I said, like our community is also very hyperactive community. So when some new person asks some questions, right, they are always up to answer and guide him, and they will share that all XYZ information.
Yeah, I think one thing I personally learned is Web3 community, any type of it never sleeps. It just keeps on going on. It keeps on buzzing, and that's what keeps the motivation going on for all the builders, right? So
in Web3, if you're a founder, there's no way you cannot stay in touch with your community. Like, I have known projects that have probably stalled an IEO or an IDO because the market scenario was not right, but had to do a call where it was advantageous to you. But you never see something like this happening in Web2, right? Where the founder or the co-founder probably talk to the community on a regular basis. And this is the essence of Web3 that we actually love. So we are always available to our community. We are in fact happy to do that for anybody. So when you asked, I mean, it was a very natural thing. We'll definitely be there, to answer or to help or anything. That's fine. That's absolutely something that we do on a daily basis.
Got it. I guess that is that we have for today. Thank you so much, Sheryl and Sandeep. I hope you enjoyed the session as well. And everyone who joined in, we hope that you got a lot of insights into Web3. You came in with some questions, and now you have a lot many because of the food for thought that we have got. And we'll move to Discord definitely. But just tell us in the chat, how was the session? Just put your comments in the chat quickly, that we know how are we going. How was it for you? Any new insights that you got? I love the project. Good session. Great. Love the session. Great insights on gaming and Web3. Nice project. Interesting. So that's the love from community. Thank you once again.
Thank you all. You all are awesome. Thank you. Thanks for good session.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Perfect. Folks, we'll see you next time. Once again, we'll see you in community. And now's the time to take off, say goodbye. And that's it. Thank you so much, Sheryl and Sandeep. Thank you so much, everyone. Good night from my side. And